Hey, Fabulous Fourth. I am here to talk a little bit more about the online science fair that we are going to be doing. I hope that you guys are as excited as us fourth grade teachers are about this. So, we thought that this related really well to Boy Who Harnessed the Wind because William was super creative in producing this windmill that created energy, and he found the materials around his community. So we kind of want you guys to do this on your own. You guys will be choosing any form of energy and conducting an experiment based on that. So we broke it down into steps. There are 6 steps, and your science fair poster or project that you are going to be doing, so there's a little checklist for that, as well as the record sheet to kind of help aid you guys in testing, as well as aid your steps a little bit better. So this is a 3-week project. So what that tells me is if you procrastinate a little bit, it might be harder to produce a well thought out project. So what I would do in the first week is really focus on step 1 and step 2, maybe step 3. But for the most part, you can do it as fast or as slow as you want. However, there's been an awful lot of times that procrastination really just kind of kills the project. So make sure that you are using your time wisely. So step 1 is really your research stage. So like in our inquiry process, we always have about 1 to 3 days of research. So that's what you're going to do for step 1. You're going to choose a form of energy that kind of interests you, and then you guys are going to develop a question or topic that you can test. So you might have your own ideas, which is awesome. If you're kind of wanting something created, or if you're having a hard time triggering your brain to think of some different things, let's go to this website, which you can just click from here and get to this website, and this can kind of spur on some different ideas, or you can just use one from here. So that is step 1. Make sure, guys, that you take your time on this. Really be thinking, really be thoughtful. So step 2 is to create a list of materials that you need, and then you're going to gather supplies. So we really want your materials to be accessible. As in what William did, he kind of went to the junkyard, he looked around the house, he did things around his community. So if you have to buy something, that's totally fine, but try to find things that you have at home to run your experiment through. And step 3 is write out a hypothesis. It says, what do you expect to happen? What are the possible results you expect to achieve? So you guys might be thinking, well, I'm not quite sure how to write a hypothesis, so I am going to kind of teach you guys what a hypothesis is. And this will also be posted on the science website. So hypothesis is a statement that will predict what will happen in a scientific investigation. A hypothesis is based on things that you already know. For example, if I were to take an ice cube out of the freezer and lay it on the counter, it would melt because it would become warmer. So things that make a good hypothesis, it is a statement, not a question. So that is really big in what a hypothesis is. It predicts how the experiment will turn out, and it is testable. That means if we're doing an experiment, we need to make sure that we test it, so your hypothesis needs to be testable. It is based on what you already know, so that kind of brings in the research aspect of it, and explains why you think the result will happen. So here is usually how I think of writing a hypothesis is if, then, because statements. So here's an example. If an ice cube is taken out of the freezer, placed on the counter, and left at a temperature of 68 degrees Fahrenheit, then it will completely melt in under 45 minutes because ice melts when the air is warm. So this kind of brings, the because is kind of where it brings in your information, your knowledge, your research that you kind of thought of, you questioned, you researched. So that is really important. If, then, because statements for hypothesis. The other way you could do that is say, I believe or I think this because this. Is another way to write a hypothesis. So that's going to be available for you guys on your Google Classroom page. So I'm going to bring us back to our steps. Step 4 is conduct your first test and record all the results. You can record the results on the page below, or you can make your own record sheet. So you're going to look at what went well and also any changes that you need to make your experiment work better. And then step 5 is make those changes and then conduct your experiment again. So like it says here, even if you do not make adjustments, a good scientist always has more than one test. So make sure that you at least test it twice. If you guys want to test it a third time, fourth time, as many times as you want, I say go for it. And then step 6 is create a presentation to share all of your work. So be sure to use the checklist right here to see if you have all the components required, and then you will be creating a presentation to share your learning with the class. We are going to be doing a Zoom call so that you can present to your class. This can be a poster, movie, slideshow, or any format that you would like. For those of you that feel like they don't have the best internet, movie might be the best, as in like you film yourself, and then when you're presenting to the class, I can just share that clip with the whole class. So these are the things that you need to have for your presentation. So regardless of any format that you do, you still need to have these up and ready. So, and not only that, but like you guys do, after you do your test the second time, you need to make sure that you tell, is your conclusion the same as our hypothesis? Why or why not? And kind of reflect. What happened at the end of the experiment? Why do you think it happened that way? I think that reflection is really good when it comes to science experiments. So we as fourth grade teachers are also going to be looking for your reflection. And so I do want to show a science fair project. This was from last year. She looked at hydropower, and the reason I really loved this is because I see her titles, and it's really easy to see what's going on. She has her results, she has her tests, observation 1 and observation 2. She has some fun facts over here, which brought in some of that research that she did in step 1 and pictures to go along with it. So this is a nice, neat poster that she was able to present her findings to her class. So that is our science fair project. I hope that you guys are super stoked because I am so excited to get to see what you guys produce and create, just like William. I do advise you guys to get started this week. From my experience, if you procrastinate till the last week, usually science fair experiments don't go well. If you wait until the very last minute and it feels rushed. So get started this week. If you want to continue on, that's awesome. If you have any other questions or need details about other things, make sure that you bring those questions to our Tuesdays and Thursday meetups because we would love to answer those for you.